Hey everyone, welcome back to the Movie Couple channel. I'm Wendy and this is my non-spoiler review for Sinners. Twin brothers Smoke and Stack return to their hometown to start over again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. Now before we get into the actual review, I know that we have a trailer reaction for Sinners. We did the reaction to the second trailer. If you haven't watched it yet, I'm gonna pause you right there. I would actually suggest don't do it. If you haven't watched any of the trailers, TV spots, whatever, for Sinners, I think it's actually going to be more beneficial to you as a viewer, as an audience member, to not watch at least the second trailer. I don't know about the first one. I actually haven't seen the first trailer, but I feel like there were some stuff that was kind of given away in the second trailer that it would have played better for the audiences who haven't seen it. I wish that I hadn't, but you know what we do on this channel, so you know, we watched it, we did the thing. But I wanted to caution you, in the case that you haven't watched the trailer, just don't watch it. Just get yourself a ticket to the movie. You'll thank me later. Now Sinners, this is directed by Ryan Coogler. It stars Michael B. Jordan in a dual role where he plays twin brothers Smoke and Stack. And just also looking at the lineup of the cast, I was immediately interested. This is set in the 1930s during the Jim Crow era in the South. So there is so much more going on with this movie than just a vampire movie. There's so much context that goes with it. It talks about living as a society, as marginalized people in the Jim Crow era. It has music. Music has a huge part to do with this movie. I would kind of say vampire and music have just as much to do with each other in the form of this film, and I thought Ryan Coogler did such a great job exploring all there is with the music, with the lore of the vampire, with, you know, that time period. He uses the first act of the movie to sort of give us the exposition, give us a little bit more information on the brothers, Smoke and Stack. But to me, it never really felt like I was sitting through some boring exposition. Like, the storytelling and obviously the performances were so stellar that this movie is about 2 hours and 17 minutes. It flew by for me. It flew by. I would have sat through like another 15-20 minutes. The way that he set up every single one of the characters that you meet in this movie so well, and he gives them history so that we as the audience can connect with them a lot better. So later on in the movie, when we get to the vampire fighting part, you are rooting for these characters and for their survival. I really love Michael B. Jordan in basically anything he does. I think he has a really good understanding of the characters that he is playing. He gives it his all, and in this one it's kind of crazy because he is playing essentially opposite of himself. There's a huge distinction between the two brothers. So yeah, like look-wise, you're kind of like, obviously they're identical, he's playing twins. You can't tell them apart, but personality-wise, I feel like once they're separated on screen, even without recognizing them in, like, you know, the difference of clothing that they're in, just by personality and the way they carry themselves is like very, very different. And the twin aspect of it for filming and special effects, it was so seamless. Like, these two brothers are on screen together. They're interacting with each other, not just like by talking, but physically they are interacting, touching arms or whatever it may be. Like, they're interacting. So it was just so seamless. I never once kind of like picked up with my eyes like, ooh, that looked a little rough. Like, none of it at all. And while we're talking about cinematography, this movie is filmed for IMAX. You should absolutely enjoy it on IMAX. It's spectacular. There's a couple of spots where they do a little bit of like a aspect ratio like changes, and it's really purposeful when they do this, and it looks great. Coogler also does a thing with his camera work where he takes a character and he follows that character kind of across the street, and to bring in another character and then follow that next character back onto, it's just like the transitions between scenes are so artfully done, and I ate it up with a spoon. So basically, Smoke and Stack are now back in their hometown. They've done some stuff in the city. They say, oh, we're kind of done with the city. We're going to come back. And they buy an old mill. And their dream is to turn that into sort of like a juke club, like a nightclub. So they buy it from this man who is like a little shady. And I think as the audience member, you're looking at it, you're like, oh, I wouldn't trust them to like not want to come back and be like, you still owe me money, even though they paid for all of it in cash right up top. And I would say that the brothers also had the same idea, that this guy is pretty shady, not completely trustworthy. So even though they've, paid their money for this old mill, they are still on their guard about this guy. And running a nightclub is no small feat. So now they have to recruit their friends to come and help them. They need a door person. They need someone to man the bar, someone to help with the food. They need musicians to play. So they have, they kind of go back to their community and they start recruiting people. And that's where we kind of get bits and pieces of these characters' backstory. And it doesn't even take that long, but once you're done meeting them, you have a full understanding of who they are. And that's why I feel really connected to this story. And by the end of it, I was literally rooting for everybody to survive. So a nightclub needs music, and that's where we find Sammy. And Sammy is the cousin to the twins, and he is a very talented, young but talented blues guitar player and a singer. So now that they have the entertainment down, it is time to open the club. Blues music plays a huge part in this movie. I would say music in general plays a huge part of this movie, but specifically in the movie they talk about how that is sort of like intertwined with the supernatural element, and that's where the vampires come in.
Legends of people with the gift of making music so true. It can conjure spirits from the past and the future.
They are drawn to the music. They have descended upon this nightclub where everybody is having a good time, dancing, smoking, drinking. Things get a little sexy. But the vampires, they are here and they are out for blood, and so now it's survival mode time. And as we get into this part of it, right before we get into this part of it, there is a huge musical scene. Yeah, this movie has a lot of genres. There's thrills, there's horror, there is musical elements, there's a bit of romance. It's so many genres in one film, but it doesn't ever feel overstuffed or too convoluted. I think Coogler does a beautiful job with the storytelling on this film. And the ending of the film, obviously I'm not giving it away here, but I love the way that he wrapped up this movie. I do feel that it actually comes full circle, and just a little tidbit for you, stay all the way through the credits because there are 2 end credit scenes. Well, technically it's one mid-credit and one post-credit, but you should absolutely stay for both. I gotta say, Sinners, I think this is so far my favorite movie of this year. I think it should absolutely be seen on IMAX or whatever the biggest screen is available to you, so you can enjoy the sound, the visuals, the music, the performances. I actually can't wait for the soundtrack to come out for this movie. If it isn't out already, like, I want it because it is that good. I can see this movie being in awards conversations when the award season comes around again. My rating for this movie is catch it opening night. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this review for Sinners. Let me know what you thought of the film in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.